our team of the tournament. And I'll give this one off to you. I want to hear who you had for the team of the tournament for the FIFA 2022 World Cup.
Obviously, there's so many standout players, so many young, up and rising upcomers that we didn't expect, and also the veterans, the savvy veterans who cemented their place in this spot for me. So for me, I'm going with the 4-3-1-2 kind of variant formation. You could play this multiple different ways. It works in the 4-3-3. Formation doesn't really matter. This is the starting 11 for me that I think is the best based on everything that happened in this tournament. So in goal, a lot of different players that could go here, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Livkovic from Croatia. I think, look, all things considered, he was the best goalkeeper in this tournament. I think that he had the best save percentage, and it was really between him or Bunu from Morocco. And you could say, Emi Martinez, but the thing with Emi Martinez, he had his clutch moments. Don't get me wrong, and he obviously won the World Cup, but his save percentage wasn't the best, and he wasn't necessarily for me the main reason that was driving this Argentina team to success. It wasn't like he was putting them on his back, making 10 saves and stuff, things of that nature. But we saw Livkovic from Croatia put the team on his back in some points and save their ass. So I got to give him the edge here. I want to give him his props because obviously it's easy to say Emi Martinez or even Bunu because of how good Morocco did. But I think Livkovic, he really cemented himself, and I think he's going to get a big move to a different club, bigger club in Europe after this World Cup. So then, moving, we'll do right back to left back. So, I got Hakimi at right back. It's a no brainer for me. I mean, the fullbacks. I would say there weren't that many standouts per se. It's not like there was a Roberto Carlos right here anywhere here. But I think Hakimi,
I
he was
think out of the entire tournament, though, yeah, this is the first for sure, like the for sure right back. Like there was no like really debate of what the right back was
yeah.
going to be.
Yeah, I would just say, considering what Morocco did as a team, you couldn't have done that without Hakimi being the integral part of the team that he is. Not only on the defensive side, but also going forward, he can kind of do it all. And he wasn't necessarily the driving force for this Morocco team's success, but he was an integral part. So being one of the best players on this Morocco team, you got to give him the edge. So then, right center back for me, I got Romero, of Argentina. And for me, I was debating between the Argentina center back pairing here. I was either going to go with Romero or Otamendi. And I gave Romero the edge. Otamendi, don't get me wrong, he had a great tournament. I think, and it was an unexpected great tournament, but I give the edge to Romero because I feel like he made a little bit less key mistakes. If we look back even into the final, Otamendi got absolutely burned by Kolo Muande, and he ultimately gave away the penalty. And he did make some mistakes. He had a great tournament, but I think Romero was just a little bit better. So I give him the edge to make my team of the tournament. And then the left center back, I'm going Gvardiol from Croatia. How many times can I talk about this guy on this podcast? I mean, I love talking about this guy.
My God.
His only fault of the whole tournament was getting skinned by Messi in that world class assist that he ended up having. But besides that, he didn't put a foot wrong. His price tag went up by probably 20, 30 million just because of his performances. He scored a wonder header in the third place game to just seal the deal on what was a great tournament for him. Didn't really put a foot wrong, and he was an integral part of this Croatian defense. So then, left back, I got to finish off with both. I got both Morocco fullbacks in here. I got Nasuer Mazraoui as my left back, and once again, I feel like it's similar to the right back. There wasn't too many shouts here of who you're gonna put, and I give Mazraoui the edge over Teo Hernandez because it's not that Teo was terrible, but I feel like he wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. He was at some points a liability defensively for France. And although he did offer some in the attack, I give Mazraoui the edge because I think kind of came out of nowhere and burst onto the scene as, in my opinion, the best left back in this tournament. So that rounds off my back four. Moving into my three-man midfield, I have to start off with, you could say if they went a little bit further, he would have been the young player of the year award in the World Cup, Jude Bellingham. I mean, how could you not have him in the team? What a tournament he had. And we knew how good this guy was. And we knew the electrifying form he was on for Dortmund, not only in Bundesliga, but in the Champions League as well, scoring every single game, it felt like, from midfield. He continued that straight away in the World Cup. He got that goal against Iran to open up the World Cup. And then, I mean, he just continued to have amazing game after amazing game. did it in the knockout stages, and he, unlucky to be a part of not go further in this tournament with this English team, because ultimately, France kind of did what they did. Perry Payne bottled it, but
Harry Payne. Yeah, that wasn't good.
not much you can do. But he definitely deserved this spot, in my opinion. There's so many great midfielders, and I had to leave a couple out of my midfield, unfortunately, but I give Bellingham the edge over some of the guys I left out, which you'll find out who they are. Now moving forward to probably this is the more holding midfielder role in my midfield. Got to have Casemiro. What a tournament he was having for Brazil. Being, I would say, arguably the most important player in that Brazil team that was doing so well. And you can point to so many guys on that Brazil team that were important or doing well. Casemiro, he was playing like a man possessed in that midfield. He was doing things that you saw from prime Casemiro, and then he went to Manchester United. How is he really taking it that serious anymore? Well, it's quite clearly he cemented himself as the best midfielder in that Brazil team, by far. And he was running the show, both being able to link the play, but also, helping out on the defensive side of the ball as well. What a tournament he had in Manchester United. And we'll see what they can do going forward with him, because they got themselves still a world-class player there in Casemiro. So then, and this one, I was debating. I wanted to put a couple guys here. And I look, there's only so many midfield spots in this team.
I think midfield was the hardest one
It was. For me, it was the hardest.
decide, because there's so many midfield players. I mean, in the World Cup.
It pains me to leave the guy that I left out of the team, but I couldn't justify not having this guy in my team, and I had to go with Amrabat from Morocco. Had to get him in here. What a tournament he had. He's really cemented himself. He's going to get a big move to a way bigger club than where he's at now at, I think, Fiorentina. What a tournament he had. I mean, thoroughly was the driving force of this Moroccan midfield. Really ran the show, and he did it against the biggest nations as well. I mean, he ran the show against Spain. He did it against Portugal. He continued to prove himself over and over again. What a tournament he had. And obviously the player that I'm talking about that I had to leave out, Luka Modric. I wanted to get him in the team so bad, but I couldn't justify putting him over Amrabat. And I like him and Jude Bellingham to toss up, but I give the edge because I think Jude Bellingham even though he played one less game, obviously only went to the quarterfinals compared to the semis. He did more in those games that he did play. He was such an integral part, and obviously Luka Modric is so influential for Croatia. But I feel like what Jude Bellingham was doing, Luka Modric isn't doing at his age. So I got to give Jude Bellingham the edge. But it really does pain me to leave him out.
Okay, yeah.
So then moving forward in my formation, you could play this guy anywhere, but I got him playing like an attacking midfield role, which is pretty much exactly what he was playing for France. And I didn't think I'd be saying this name, Antoine Griezmann. He thoroughly deserves to be in this team. What a tournament he had. I'm not going to lie, I didn't expect it. I mean, once Nkunku went out and we knew that Griezmann was going to end up being the starter at that attacking midfield over France, I wasn't sure what to expect. He turned back the clock. He looked like 2018 Griezmann. He looked like prime Griezmann.
He looked pretty good.
He was.
But to be fair, he was like he looked very rejuvenated, but it was a different role. He was playing very differently than what prime Griezmann would be. I mean, he wasn't scoring the goals.
Yeah, but he was doing everything else besides that.
Everything else. Even defending at points, he was even defending.
We saw that in the final.
Yeah, a little bit, partial of it.
But I would say especially we saw that in the semifinal as well.
Yeah,
like, he was
mostly Salah.
He was doing it all.
I think versus England, he was France's best player. Yeah. Versus England, he was their best player.
And that's crazy to say that,
Yeah.
I mean,
if
you had told me that we'd be talking about Griezmann as potentially the best player in some of the most pivotal matches for this France team, I would have said you're lying, just based on everything, the form. He wasn't barely playing at his club, Atletico Madrid, and what a tournament he had. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here with his club now. But moving forward to the two strikers, I mean, come on, we all know who these guys are going to be here. Take your pick on who we talk about first, but I'll go ahead and talk about the main man, Kylian Mbappe, first. He's going to obviously got to be in the team. Won the Golden Boot. What didn't this guy do? Proved himself to me as potentially being the best player in the world at this very moment. Messi, he's obviously right there with them, but Mbappe, what a tournament he had. We've talked about it before. He's already cemented, but they were talking about this guy now as all-time great potential. And this World Cup is another big reason as to why. Because what a tournament. I mean, the composure he showed, the finishing ability, the way he was able to show not multiple parts of his game. I never want to hear another person talking about him just as a pace merchant, because it's quite clear that's just not what he is. He can do it all. And this tournament showed just that. Very unlucky not to potentially win the World Cup, given how well he played in the final, especially in that last 10 minutes of normal time and then going into extra time. Pretty much that 40-minute span, he was absolutely untouchable. No, the Argentina defenders were shaking in their boots.
Yeah.
And then the final player, the main man, Lionel Andres Messi, the Golden Ball winner, the FIFA World Cup champion. I mean, what do I have to say here? There is nothing to say. I've given this guy all his flowers, all the praise. If anyone has a team of tournament without him in there, you don't even deserve to be talking about.
Yeah, then it's not. It's not even.
It's not a team of the tournament. You don't deserve to be talking about the sport. I'm not going to sit here and ramble about why Messi had a great tournament and why he's the greatest of all time. I've already done that. So
but that could go on for hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'll go ahead and pass it to you because I want to see what tweaks you make to your team.
Yeah, I stayed a little silent because I didn't want to give you your chances, to go through your team without me butting in every single time. So I did stay a little quiet, but finally, I get to go into mine. So we differ at the goalkeepers. At the beginning, he started to win me over a little bit because at first, I was thinking the same thing you were, who was going to be a goalkeeper, but Emiliano Martinez has to be. He has to be in the goal just for what he's almost revolutionized what goalkeepers should be doing in penalty shootouts. And I get that his save percentage in game wasn't the best, but to me, everybody will talk about what he did in the penalty shootouts, but just the save that he did just to basically save Argentina in the last dying seconds, at the last seconds, to me, that erases it all. Because we're talking about one of the all-time great saves. He saves it with his leg, like fully stretched, at the depths of the game. Like that's it. So, that just adds on to the fact that even what he did in the penalty shootouts, he has to get in. And I'm really curious that what's going to happen. Is he going to get a move from Aston Villa? I'm sure Arsenal's kind of, kicking themselves like they let this guy go.
They did, but,
yeah. I'd be really curious. I heard a couple shouts at Man United, with the De Gea's kind of falling out of love.
It's
but
interesting.
We could see, but then moving on to my right back, because I'm going to follow the same way you did. I had Hakimi as well. Not really much to be said. I think this tournament Hakimi really proved to me more. Not like he has to prove anything to me. I'm just an idiot. But I think he kind of announced himself in the world that he is the best fullback in the world. Before I thought it was Cancelo. But it's Hakimi. For what Hakimi can do on both sides of the ball, him attacking is just as good as his defending. This guy can get up and down the pitch. And I haven't really seen something like this since like Dani Alves and Marcelo. Like this is really, a just electrifying player. And I love to see it because I love seeing right backs get more involved in attack because it's just more of the football I like to see. But going to my left back, I gave it to Theo Hernandez. It was close, it was close, but I think just what Theo Hernandez offered offensively, maybe I'm offensive bias. His defending was definitely not as good as it probably should have been, but I give him a lot of credit for being able to break down and get that goal versus Morocco. I don't know why I'm at Braveheart, but yeah, he was able to get that goal versus Morocco. Which who would have thought that Morocco so set up well defensively would get broken down by a left back and get scored on within the first 10 minutes. So, I mean, and not to mention that just Theo Hernandez coming into that after his brother tore his ACL the first game to just be immediately thrown into this team and expected to just immediately get it. I give him a lot of credit for that. He had a great tournament, not a great final, but I think that shouldn't, overshadow everything else he did leading up to that. But the other center back, I had your guy. I had Guardiola. I think Guardiola played very. I think Guardiola had a very good tournament, other than getting put in a blender by Lionel Messi. But it's Lionel Messi. If you're gonna get smoked by anybody, you might as well be him. He could join Boateng in that elite echelon of center backs that just got done in. But enough said. I don't really say he had a great tournament. You already went on and harped on him enough. No more talking about Guardiola.
Yeah. Well, it won't be the last time.
it won't be the last time, but the other center back I had was Nicholas Otamendi.
You went with Otamendi, yeah?
I went with Otamendi, and I get that he gave a mare of a penalty in the final. I was like, "What are you doing, son? Just clear the ball." But the fact that he was able to, I didn't even think he was going to be in this Argentina squad at all. I did not see him playing, but for him to do everything, the little things right, he knows he doesn't have the pace, he doesn't have the physicality he had when he was younger. Back when he was on Manchester City, that seems eons ago.
It does,
But
yeah.
he was able to squeeze every last bit of veteran little savviness at the center back position, and I think just his leadership helped a lot in that back line because I think he was the leader in that back line. So I give him the credit, and he makes my team. That rounds out my back line. So it goes into my midfield. First midfielder up, I'll give the one that we both had the same. I had Jude Bellingham. This one was a real just explosion. If you didn't know about Jude Bellingham before, now you know about him. This kid is, out of this world. He's superstar level. Like this guy, he's 19 years old. He's younger than both of us. Like this is the shit that makes me sad about my life. Like this guy.
Where did we go wrong?
Where did we go wrong? This guy is so good at 19 years old, and I get they didn't give him the young player award because he probably didn't go as far as he should have, but still, for him being that main guy, and arguably, I think when everybody looks back at it, he was England's best player. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
I think he was England's best player at 19 years old. When you have Harry Kane, one of your England's greatest goal scorers ever, and he was at 19, he was already better than Harry Kane, arguably. So to me, he has to make my team. The other one I had was Luka Modric. Luka Modric, at 37 years old, has no right to be doing the things that he's doing on a football pitch. For him to basically man this midfield of Croatia and lead them past the favorites Brazil and lead them, to a third place finish. 2 places in the last, he placed second and placed third in the last 2 World Cups, has to be commended. He's the ultimate spearhead of this team, and I give him very much credit. Maybe a little bit Madrid bias, but whatever. I don't care.
No, I think it's fair. I think for me it was a coin flip. So
yeah, I mean, Luka Modric is ultimate class. I mean, at 37, like this guy is insane. But the other midfielder I actually had, I kind of have like a 4-3-3-4 attacking, more of a cam. I put Antoine Griezmann because I'm showing a bit of veteran love here. I got a couple veteran players, and I'm showing my veteran love This one was, nice to see because I remember Antoine Griezmann and his 2016-2015 run, that form of when he played for France and Atletico, that this guy was on top of the world, that he had him cemented as the 3rd best player in the world, right behind Ronaldo and Messi.
Yep.
And it was nice for him to, know he had a reality check that he knows he's not the same guy, but he adapted his game perfectly to what this French team needed because it didn't have Pogba, it didn't have Kanté to really connect the midfield to the attack. And that's what he did. He took the ball up the pitch, even went back as far as defending. He at points he was a defensive midfielder, bringing it up to as a center forward, as a winger, and he was able to connect so perfectly. And it was refreshing because we always saw Griezmann as the guy to score the goal. He was the guy to finish, be that finisher, but he was able to adapt this game. So I'll give him
hotline bling celebration.
The hotline bling. We all remember this guy was hitting every Fortnite celebration ever. So maybe it's good that he stopped scoring. He found a new passion, but it was nice to see. I'm excited to see what happens when he goes back to Atletico. I don't know what's going to happen because I think that's probably another conversation for another time, just because I think that goes down to Atletico's philosophy, how they play. I think what Griezmann offers at his age right now is not how Atletico play. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that rounds out my midfield, and it's going up to my front 3.
I'm interested to see what this is going to be.
Oh, I wonder,
No,
we all know 2
I know 2 of them, but
2 of the 3. So I think I'll leave that 3rd guy.
Leave the 3rd guy for last.
Obviously, I have Kylian Mbappe. What else is there to be said about Kylian Mbappe? I think by when it's all said and done, he's going to be way into the top 10 greatest players we've ever seen. I mean, he's arguably what he's done at just 23. He turned 24, yesterday? Like literally today, he just turned 24. And it feels like this guy's been playing football forever. I mean, we've heard so much about Kylian Mbappe, and I think that's almost purposely he wanted to have this big of a tournament because a lot of people were talking about Haaland. And I think this does spice up the what's to come. Haaland versus Mbappe, because Mbappe, I'm sure, is he's a bit hurt that he didn't win the World Cup when he felt like he should have. I mean, hat trick and you score all your pens. You
Yeah.
do everything you can as a player, but he's taken that spotlight from Haaland, because Haaland unfortunately can't play in the World Cup. He didn't play, so
Yeah.
all the spotlight's back on Mbappe as the best young player in the world. And I've always thought he was always better. He was always the best young player in the world, but you know.
I'm not gonna
Then
lie. Coming into the tournament, I was saying Holland, but now I might have swung back to
no, yeah, no,
Mbappe.
I always had Mbappe. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Mbappe, but then the other guy, the Magic Man, the man of dreams, Lionel Messi. There's not much to be said. That's all I have to say. Just Lionel Messi. That's it. The third guy, this one was very difficult. But
Ooh.
I had Julian Alvarez.
Okay.
Just for the task he was given to be thrown into this team when we all thought it was going to be Martinez, because what he was able to do in the Copa America run
Yeah.
being very vital. But
Even
you
when he
know,
plays like for Inter.
yeah, even when he plays for Inter, I mean, this guy's won titles for Inter. I mean, Inter hasn't won a title in how long? So for Julian Alvarez to be thrusted into this team and to be told, we need you to be the focal point with Lionel Messi to win us a World Cup at his age is remarkable. And just his hustle and what he did for this team, he did everything he had to do to win. He constantly pressed. He was always moving. He was linking the play. Like, he had a big play. He had a big role in building the second goal against France to Di Maria. I mean, he was able to find that pass to McAllister, and McAllister played to Di Maria like that. That's one of the greatest goals we've ever seen in football, period, let alone a final or World Cup. Like, that goal was pure football. And, obviously everybody talks about the Messi flick, and obviously Messi's flick was magical, but then the Julian Alvarez to keep it alive and to play it in perfectly to McAllister. Like, I give him a lot of credit because he's a very well-rounded 9. Like, he's a 9. He can score, but he can also do other things, which I appreciate. That's something Martinez can't really do. I mean, what could he really do this tournament? I don't even know if he can finish anymore. Like, this guy,
That's all he had.
he was a bit of a horror show, but Julian Alvarez was just what the doctor ordered, and he did everything he had to do. So I have to give him credit and put him into my team.